Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Today we're diving into leadership,
Yeah.
but not just leadership from the top down.
Right.
We're going to be talking about leadership at every level.
Yeah.
And to help us along in this journey, we are joined by
I'm excited about this.
a very special guest. And we are going to be using this text, Everyone Should Be a Leader, How to Develop Team Leadership, as a guide for this conversation.
It's a good one.
It is, yeah. Have you had a chance to look at this one?
I have. It's
Yeah.
it's really thought-provoking
It is.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and it really flips the script on how we think about leadership.
Absolutely.
So before we get too far, I want to just kind of throw out there what most people think of when they think about leadership.
Okay.
It's usually somebody at the top, right?
The CEO, the executive, somebody with authority.
One calling the shots, making all the decisions.
Right.
And this text kind of throws all that out the window.
It really does.
So I want to start by just reading a quote from the text that I thought really kind of sums up the core message.
Okay.
It says, "Everyone can play a leadership role at their own level. Leadership has nothing to do with seniority."
I love that.
Isn't that a great quote?
It is. It's very empowering.
It is.
Because it tells you, you know what, you don't have to be the CEO. You
Yeah.
don't have to have this big fancy title.
You can be a leader right now.
Right, where you are.
Wherever you are in your career,
Exact.
whatever your job is,
Yeah.
you can be a leader.
And it challenges this whole notion of leadership being some sort of innate quality
Right.
that you're either born with or you're not.
It's like, oh, they're a natural born leader.
Right, right.
But this is saying anybody can.
This text argues that it's a skill.
Oh.
It's something that can be developed.
So it's more like a muscle.
Exactly.
The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Exactly. Practice and experience are key.
So let's unpack that a little bit, because I think it would be helpful to kind of differentiate what leadership looks like in different contexts.
Oh, right.
Because it's easy to say, okay, anybody can be a leader.
Sure.
But what does that actually look like in practice?
Right,
If you're not the CEO.
right.
What does it look like if you're, a middle manager or even an entry-level employee?
Well, and I think that's what's so great about this text is it really does a good job of kind of breaking it down and providing concrete examples of what leadership can look like
At different levels.
at different levels of an organization.
Okay, so for example.
But let's say you're a middle manager.
Okay.
You might not be setting the overall company strategy,
Right.
but your leadership is still incredibly important when it comes to things like,
Setting the tone for the team,
yes, definitely.
delegating tasks,
Absolutely.
keeping everybody motivated.
Keeping things on track.
Yeah.
Meeting deadlines.
And then just navigating all those personalities.
Yeah.
You've got your team,
the interpersonal stuff.
the interpersonal dynamics, and then you've got to report up to,
It's huge.
whoever's above you.
Right. And often
It's a lot.
it's a tough spot to be in
It is.
because you're kind of caught in the middle. You've got pressure from above. You've got pressure from below.
It's like being the meat in the sandwich.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of leadership that happens at that level.
Absolutely. And that's something that this text really emphasizes.
Okay.
Is that leadership isn't just about
Being at the top.
being at the top. It's about
wherever you are.
it's about taking initiative. It's about
Having influence.
influence. Yeah, problem solving.
And it's interesting because even if you're not in a formal management position,
right?
you can still be a leader.
Absolutely.
Maybe you're
By example. You
Yeah.
can be a leader by example.
you're the person that everybody goes to when they have a question.
Right. Or you're the one who's willing to step up
Yes.
when nobody else wants to
You take on that extra project.
take on that new challenge.
Yes. And I think that's something that we often overlook
We do.
because we're so focused on
Titles.
and positions.
Yeah.
But true leadership, it's not about that.
It's not about the title.
It's about
It's about the impact you have
the actions you take
on others, on your team.
on the organization.
Exactly.
So one of the concepts that this text talks about that I found really interesting is this idea of leading up,
Leading up.
which I think is something that a lot of people struggle with
It's hard.
because it can be very intimidating.
It is.
To sort of challenge
You challenge your boss.
or to disagree with
Push back.
somebody who's in a position of authority.
Right.
But the text argues that it's actually a really important aspect of leadership
It is, because sometimes
because you may have a different perspective.
you have a different perspective. You have information
You may see things
that your superiors don't have.
that your boss doesn't see.
Right.
And so being able to effectively communicate that
Yes.
to your boss
is crucial.
in a way that's
Respectful and constructive.
and that's where it becomes tricky
It is.
because you don't want to come across as
confrontational.
Confrontational, or like you're...
Or that you're questioning their authority.
Right, right. So how do you walk that line?
Well, I think one of the things the text talks about is...
It's about framing it.
Framing it in a way...
In a way that's...
Not threatening.
Not threatening, but helpful.
Right.
Like you're trying to help your boss.
You're on the same team.
We're on the same team here.
Right.
We're trying to achieve the same goals.
Exactly.
And I think sometimes...
When that can be hard to remember.
It can. It can.
When you're feeling like...
Especially when you're the one...
you have less power.
When you're the one lower on the totem pole.
Right.
But ultimately, you're both working toward...
You're both working for the same company.
The same goals.
Right.
And that's something I think that this text does a really good job of.
It does.
Of emphasizing. Is that...
It's about that teamwork.
It is a team effort.
Yeah.
And leadership.
Leadership
can come from anywhere.
Absolutely.
It can come from the top.
It can come from the bottom.
It can come from the middle.
From the side.
From the side. Anywhere.
Yeah.
It's really about...
Anybody can be a leader.
Anybody can step up.
Yeah.
And take on that role.
And I think that's what's so exciting.
It is exciting.
About this whole idea of leadership at every level.
It is. And, you know...
Is that it opens up...
Democratizes it.
It does. It democratizes it.
It makes it accessible to everyone.
Exactly.
And it makes it so that you're not...
You're not limited.
Limited by your job title.
By your job title.
Or your position.
Or how much experience you have.
Your years of experience.
It's really about stepping up and saying...
Taking initiative.
I want to make a difference.
I see a better way.
I have ideas.
I want to contribute.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's a really...
It's a powerful message.
It's a powerful message.
But I think it's something that more and more organizations are starting to recognize.
Especially now. I mean, the world is changing so quickly.
Yeah.
Things are constantly evolving.
And so we need leaders.
So we need leaders.
At all levels.
At all levels.
To be able to adapt.
To be adaptable. To be flexible.
To be innovative.
To be innovative.
To be able to solve problems.
To solve problems creatively.
Yeah.
Because the old ways of doing things...
They don't always work.
They don't always work anymore.
Right.
And so we need people who are willing to...
To challenge the status quo.
To challenge the status quo, to come up with new ideas.
To be willing to experiment.
To take risks.
To take risks.
Because that's where...
Because that's how...
Innovation happens.
Innovation happens.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting time.
It is an exciting time.
To be thinking about leadership.
Is.
In this new way. And I think this text, everyone should be a leader, is a great place to start.
It is.
If you're looking to kind of
shift your mindset.
Shift your mindset to really embrace this idea.
Embrace the idea that
leadership.
You can be a leader.
You can be a leader.
No matter where you are.
No matter where you are in an organization.
Right.
So
thank you. Thank you.
For having me.
For joining us today. It's been a great conversation.
It has been fun.
I feel like we could talk about this for hours.
We could.
But we're going to have to leave it there for today.
Another time.
Another time.
Right.
But to our listeners out there, thank you for joining us for another deep dive.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.